Hi, this is Natalie Lander, voice of Kinsey, Tara Branford, Stargirl, and many others. You are listening to a W2Mnet podcast. You can visit W2Mnet.com for other podcasts about entertainment, video games, sports, and wrestling. You are listening to Video Games to the Max.
Hello and welcome to Video Games to the Max, episode 235. I'm your host, Sean Garmer, here with me, as always, Mr. Marc Morrison.
Howdy.
Well, it's all Ubisoft all the time here for this show, basically, because the Ubisoft Forward event happened a few days ago now, and more... there's the Devolver stuff as well that happened, and there's going to be another Ubisoft Forward because, just as Marc feared, you won't just be having one event anymore. It'll be various events all throughout. I'm sure it'll happen sometime in August, or I'd imagine like once you get past Gamescom, they won't be having events like this. So it's got to be sometime between now and then. But yeah, I mean. Anything been going on with you?
Playing a few games here and there, but that's about it. You?
Yeah, finally finished that Xenoblade Future Connected, so now I can actually write the review and everything. I have like the one major quest, like the one major side quest. Well, it's like the last part of the one major side quest is basically left to do. So I want to say it's basically like a 20-hour thing that they added on to the end of Xenoblade, which is already like 100 hours anyway. So, I mean, that's still a lot, and it has its charms. I enjoyed it overall. I thought it was a nice, like, just kind of addendum to that. You kind of get to see Melia's story, what would have happened, so it's like, if you don't like Melia at all, then I guess that won't appeal to you very much, but I think it's kind of hard not to care for a little bit. They do a great job of making you care about all those characters throughout that original game. Plus, it unlocks some stuff for the original game, which I didn't think they would do, so that's nice too. And then I played, I think, like 30 minutes of Crosscode while we were waiting to come on, and it's like a action RPG that has like Zelda and puzzle stuff. It's pretty neat so far in the early, very, very early part of the game. So, yeah. I mean, for $20, if you're paying the $20, I think it's not bad. And to have it, it's like a perfect game to have on Switch. You can play for a little bit, stop, and whatever. Of course, it came out last year on PC, so but a lot of people have been waiting for it to come to the consoles, which it finally did. And yeah, now you can play it on your console.
Yeah.
Anything on your end?
I mean, this is during the sale. I actually picked up some games during the Steam sale last week or the past few weeks. I grabbed Halo Masterpiece Collection.
You did?
Finally. Yeah, it was like $31, so I'm like, all right. I guess Halo 3 just dropped tonight for that thing. Yeah, it looks nice. I mean, I only played a little reach, but it looked nice and played well.
Yes.
I've been trying to review Mr. Driller in Drill Land. I got that for Switch. It's weird. It reminds me a lot of like Puyo Puyo Tetris in like presentation and kind of like cheery atmosphere. Yeah. But like Puyo Puyo Tetris had a tutorial to tell you how to play the fucking game, and this doesn't. Like, yeah. It has like a very brief like or like kind of like one shot screenshot of like, hey, here's what you do. But it's like this doesn't really help me understand Mr. Driller that much. I haven't played one of these before. So I'm like, all right, I guess. Like, I guess I'm getting to the end of these levels and not really knowing how.
It doesn't really explain much. That's
not really. I mean, it explains some, but I kind of just want like a more comprehensive tutorial. Like that's what I need really. Speaking of this, partially.
But I mean, is it as hard as Puyo Puyo or?
Oh no, God no, nothing as hard as Puyo Puyo.
Okay, well that's a plus then.
I think Tetris 99 had a Xenoblade Chronicles event last weekend.
Oh, I saw that, yeah.
And I played it, and I got first round. I was the winner,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, I feel pretty good because I unlocked that stupid theme in like one go. I'm like, hell yeah!
Nice. Alright, so what do you get for?
It's just like a theme. Like it has like Xenoblade Chronicles sprites and like music, I guess, from the games. Like the
Like for
regular
Tetris 99, right?
Yeah. Like the regular theme is this kind of melodic thing, but then like halfway through it turns into like a rock theme. I'm like, what's this? Like,
yep. It's definitely in there.
Last two things I'll talk about briefly are I've been playing Legend of Zelda: The Minish Cap.
Hey, that's a good game.
Yeah. I have a SD to SNES flash cart, and they
Right.
added Super Game Boy 2 support. So you can play like regular Game Boy games on this thing, which is kind of cool. And the last thing is, and this is the reason Jens hasn't been playing Deadly Premonition 2, is we've been playing Code Vein.
Oh my god. He got you to play that?
It's on sale, and he's helping me out with the loan for that Persona 5 anime, so I owe it to him.
Okay. Well,
It's weird. I mean, he's way into it, and I'm playing it going like, yep, this is a lot like Dark Souls, but
I guess that's his vengeance for playing, what was the one he didn't like, but
Remnant.
Yeah, Remnant, yeah.
We had to talk about that, because I'm just like, this thing plays almost exactly like a Dark Souls.
Yeah, it does.
And I'm just like, I'm just thinking, like, this is boring as shit. Like, it's not like...
Yeah, that's why I got turned off too. I was like, oh my god, this is not...
Like, I guess say what you want, but at least Remnant, like, it tried to do something different. Like, I mean, it gave you ranged weaponry. Like, you can not like it or like it, that's up to you. But it tried. Like, and I actually did like it quite a bit.
You're not playing the DLC?
For Code Vein or Remnant?
No, for Remnant, yeah.
No, because I stopped playing because Jens was bitching about it too much, so we stopped. I mean, I want to play that game with at least one other person.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Code Vein is okay, but it's just, anime. Did you ever see the movie Daybreakers?
Yeah.
It's that. Like, vampires took over, and, and like...
Yeah, I played the game. I played the game for at least 10 hours. I just stopped after a while.
I asked him, I'm like, did you not see Code Daybreakers? He's like, no. And then I made him go buy the movie. Because he's talking about, the great story of Code Vein, and I'm like, no. Like, no.
Yeah, the story is fine. I didn't think it was anything. I mean, if you watch anime, it's anime stuff you've seen it for. It's not.
The one weird thing in the game, one reason I actually liked Remnant is it had really good multiplayer. It's functional enough, but it's not, like, easy to use necessarily. Like, let's say. One weird thing is, like, when I first started off playing the game, you have, like, a bloodsuck ability, and you have, like, a guard. And the bloodsuck was, like, I think your, like, right arm turned into a claw thing. It could, like, suck people up or suck, hurt enemies. And your guard was kind of the same thing. Like, your arm turned into, like, a bigger arm for, like, a second. And then I started playing the game a little more. And, like, suddenly I have a tail, like, a scorpion tail, and I'm like, wait, when did I get this? Like, was I really not paying attention, or what happened? And, like, no one commented on it, and even Jens doesn't know what the hell I'm talking about, but I'm like, this is kind of strange. Like...
Yeah, that is.
But, I mean, it's an okay enough game, but I just don't... It's nothing, like, special, that's the thing. Like, I think, like, I like Remnant because it has, like, ranged weaponry.
Yeah.
Or I like the Surge, too, because, like, hey, it's not Lovecraftian horror, or, whatever, dark fantasy crap. But, like,
yeah, I mean, it's basically like they decided, let's make a Dark Souls with anime in it.
Yeah, exactly.
And, I mean, that's cool. If you like both those things, then there you go. I like one of those things, not two. Jens likes both, so it certainly goes up his alley, but...
I don't like one of those things, and I'm fairly mixed on the other, so... I'm waiting for, like, the moon to become a full moon, so I turn into a giant fucking ape and just stomp around the city. But, yeah, other than that, just kind of playing games here and there, like, more of that shipbreaker game. I got to, like, the harder ships, like, rank 4, and those things are no joke. Like, I've died, like, 4 or 5 times now.
Damn, really?
Yeah, like, the shit, like, the reactor in those ones is like a lot more touchy and a lot more delicate. So I've like it's exploded like 3 times on me. It just get wiped out like instantly. I'm like, cool. But yep. Other than that, it's been.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, so other than that, it's been about the same.
Yeah. Just a lot of work and play when I can, and there you go. That's pretty much it. Even though it looks like things have slowed down a bit, that we're not getting the they've hired some people now, so we're not getting the crazy amount of overtime we were getting at one point, which kind of sucks.
Yeah,
because the amount that you make at that job default without the overtime is not great. But yeah, that's enough of real world troubles. Be thankful that there is work when there's a lot of people that don't have one right now. So let's get into the Ubisoft stuff. I know there was a pre-show, but I'll be honest, most of the stuff in that pre-show, it's stuff
it was like Trials Fusion or Trials Evolution or whatever Trials game they're on now, and then Ghost Recon Breakpoint, which no one cares about.
Yeah, I mean, I give them credit for having they try to make the most out of all their franchises, and it's good for the people that really do care about those games. You know, Division, Six Siege, For Honor, Breakpoint, Trackmania got 30 minutes to go on a deep dive.
Well, that's because Trackmania literally just came out a week and a half ago.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
So they got all that stuff got some time in pre-show and pre-stuff, and then the actual Ubisoft Forward, which we found out at the end. Like I said, there was going to be a second Ubisoft Forward, so this wasn't everything. I wonder if we would have had E3 if they would have tried to fit everything in.
They would have they probably would have had either more just dance crap or actual dancers on stage.
Well, no, I mean, they've got to be showing stuff outside of showing us actual gameplay for Far Cry 6. That means there's got to be other there was no Gods and Monsters at this thing. There was no, Beyond Good and Evil 2, they kind of already said wasn't going to show up.
That's never coming out.
There's another game of theirs, I think, that they've been working on for a while that didn't get... No, there's another game I can't...
Wild?
Wild. But there's another one, too, that I can't
Skull
think
and
of.
Bones? Or
well, yeah, but they kind of announced... Well, they haven't really. It's the rumors of that got rebooted. Yeah, see, that game, they didn't show anything of. I wonder how long this reboot has been going on, if that's something that they're planning for that next one. And, I don't know. Maybe there's a Nintendo collaboration, because people were kind of expecting something.
Like another Rabbids game, or another, I don't think that...
I don't think the Star Fox thing will happen again, but...
No,
yeah.
God, no. But I actually don't think the Rabbids Mario game did that well.
Well, I think it sold at least 1 million or so. But
yeah,
I'd imagine you're right in that it's one of the few first parties that gets a major... It's on sale a lot.
That's what I was saying. Yeah, I can get that thing for $20 if you just wait around long enough. You're not going to get, Mario Odyssey or Breath of the Wild for 20 ever.
Yeah, I know. So, outside of the Black Friday, when it's on sale for 3 days and you better don't blink or you're going to miss it.
Yeah.
That's the only, I guess it's not really truly first party because has the time with Ubisoft. It's it really is on sale a lot. So I wonder if that really that shows that it didn't sell as well as they wanted to. I mean, but it's also a niche genre. I mean, number one, not everybody cares about the Rabbids. Number two, it's really hard strategy game, so it's not appealing to kids. And I guess we'll see with Paper Mario. The reviews aren't out yet, so we'll see.
Yeah.
By the next time we do a show, they will be. And of course, it'll also get eaten alive by Ghost of Tsushima, so we'll see how that goes. This will be the true test of Nintendo really gets to go head to head with the last Sony first party, last PS4 big first party game. So we'll see how that goes.
I guess I'm getting curious about the Tsushima game. I may want that.
It looks good.
Yeah.
Looks really good, man.
as Jens pointed out to me, he's like, will your PS4 run it? And I was like, that's kind of a good question.
Yeah, right. If Last of Us 2 has you worried about it overheating.
Well, I mean, if I get, Tsushima would probably be like a digital game, so that'd be one better thing.
Yeah, that's true too.
But,
go ahead, sorry.
No, go on.
Let me get the riffraff out of the way not riffraff, I shouldn't say it like that, but the smaller stuff that was actually announced at the Ubisoft Forward out of the way. So Brawlhalla is coming to iOS and Android in a few weeks, and this is going to have like customizable controls as well as crossplay with the other platforms. It comes out August 6th. It's going to have 50 different fighters, and yeah, if you're big into Brawlhalla, I'm sure you're already aware that this is happening, and cool for you, you know.
Yep.
Hyperscape, which is their battle royale thing.
Yeah.
Their battle royale that we talked about before. It was just announced like barely sometime this month, and then all of a sudden now it's in open beta. It's going to show up on PC, Xbox One, and PS4 at that. It's cool. It looks like Fortnite with, like, Randy called it a Ready Player One Fortnite, basically.
Yeah.
It's kind of what it looked like to me. Hey, if you're into that, I'm sure that's a game you're looking at as well, if you're into those kind of games. So the first big thing this was really a bulk of the presentation, was Watch Dogs Legion. You know, you kept asking about, why haven't we seen anything with Watch Dogs? I haven't seen anything with Watch Dogs. Well, there you go. You got a big chunk of Watch Dogs stuff here. You can play as any character in the game, which is really cool, and they showed that off a lot. Changed characters.
They showed that off last year or 2 years, whenever they first announced it.
Well,
like they showed, like I watched the gameplay, and it was like, looks a lot like what they showed off already, like with like the battling granny or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, still, like, I think it's a cool feature that, I watched that, there was a video of, like, why construction worker is important and what they can do.
Yeah, like, he was, like, nailing people to the wall with his nail gun or whatever.
And that he can, like, summon a, like, construction drone at any point.
Yeah.
I mean, that was pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, they showed people German suplexing people and doing crazy stuff. Lots of hitting people in the balls. Seemed like that would be a very debilitating tactic constantly. So yeah, it's gonna be out October 29th, which that's a good spot for it, I guess. Especially if Cyberpunk doesn't hit its release date. If it does, then enjoy your, like, 2 weeks where people might be talking about you.
Yeah, because Cyberpunk's going to wipe the floor with you.
Yeah, well, Cyberpunk's going to eat everything else alive for the rest of the... never mind. Because isn't it coming the same day as... no, Cyberpunk is coming November, right? Yeah, so...
Yeah.
Cyberpunk's coming out the same day as Assassin's Creed?
Yep.
Now? Which is ridiculous. Like, Ubisoft just doesn't care. I mean, I'm sure you're excited for Watch Dogs now after seeing that, or?
I mean, I was always excited for it, but I'm just curious about, I'm more curious, like, how they can structure a story around, like, not having a main character. I get the idea, you can recruit anyone, but, like, okay, your character died. I know you just kind of go to a new character, but, like, why, don't you get invested emotionally with the character you have? Or?
We'll see, because apparently there's an option to not have permadeath, then they just go to jail for a while. So that's interesting too, how that works. Like,
yeah. But if you just jump off like a tall building, you die. You're in the hospital for 3 months and then you get resurrected.
And despite the controversy going on, Assassin's Creed Valhalla is apparently still coming out this year, November 17th. They showed a lot of gameplay for this. This was the bulk of the gameplay that they showed after, and during as well.
They kind of had to, because that Valhalla's, like, leaked footage was, like, last week, or maybe, like, I think it was, like, Friday, and it looked like garbage. So I'm sure, like, they're like, we gotta show this game, like, now.
Yeah, I mean, they showed off quite a bit of both Ivor in male and female form. Apparently you can romance characters of either gender, regardless of who you use. And, it looks like Assassin's Creed. I mean, I like the rating stuff. That looked cool. I I'm still sort of interested because I like Viking stuff, but I'm, not completely sure about if I'll get it or not.
Hey, here's a 200 hour long Viking game. Here you go.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about is how really long is it? I already went through a 100 hour game already.
And this isn't a game you can play at your desk or something. You have to focus on this one.
Yeah, because even if I was going to use my computer, I can't work and play at the same time. So, yeah, it's Assassin's Creed. I think if you're excited for this, you were going to be excited for it. I just also don't necessarily want to watch an hour of gameplay of it because it's eventually that's what you're going to be doing in that game, and I don't want all of that eventually spoiled for me. So, the ship stuff looked neat too. So that game is definitely one to look out for. Again, crazy the Ubisoft. I guess either Ubisoft thinks Cyberpunk's not coming out, or they just don't care. So, and weird also that, at least Sony gave a month in between their two big releases. They're giving
2 weeks.
2 weeks between
3 weeks,
the two big releases. Wow. I mean, I guess they really just want these to be out this year and not have to, and then be out and you just...
Yeah, I think it's 2.5 weeks. I mean, it might be 3, but yeah, that's not a ton of time.
I don't know. I would have thought maybe they would have waited till at the end of November or something like that.
Yeah, but you also got to remember that Watch Dogs Legion was supposed to be out in March, so...
Yeah. I'm just saying, if you're making, I think you're at that point making people, especially the way things are, if they don't really necessarily improve in a few months, you're making people have to maybe decide between one or the other.
Yeah.
I mean, not that Watch Dogs is this amazing seller like Assassin's Creed, but still.
I mean, that's the other problem is those games are supposed to be kind of on a bi-yearly franchise or bi-yearly schedule where let's feel a Watch Dogs 1 year and then Assassin's Creed the next year, not a 2-week schedule.
Yeah, it's just, but I mean, still, I guess good for Ubisoft that they've got this out there and figured out. It's the point where you can release them this way, with everything going on, but man, just, that was what surprised me the most is wow, really? October 29th and November 17th, you're just not even, you're just alright, we'll buy it whenever. I mean, it's not it's how long is Watch Dogs going to be? Are people going to even be done with it before Assassin's Creed is out to where...
Well, Watch Dogs is typically I wouldn't say smaller, but it has less scope than Assassin's Creed, especially the recent ones. So,
yeah.
I could probably knock out Watch Dogs Legion within 2 weeks if I really tried.
Right.
Most people probably could, but, it's kind of not the, I wouldn't necessarily want to play that game that way compared, it's not like a Valhalla where it's going to be $100. If Legion is $100, I really don't want to play it. Let's say that.
Yeah. Maybe that's what it is. Watch Dogs is going to be a much shorter game, so by the time Valhalla comes out, you're done.
Yeah.
But I also don't necessarily think that, and that's the thing too, is it really shows you sometimes these Ubisoft games will kind of run together.
Yeah.
Third person action game, another third person action game. All right. I know another third person action game because big, this is supposed to be a surprise announcement, so it kind of was sucked for Ubisoft. Of course, this always happens to them. They always get their game leaked, before it's supposed to hit, and Far Cry 6, is the big reveal for February. They love that February spot for Far Cry.
Yeah.
And February 21st of 2020, with the new consoles already out there, Giancarlo Esposito, of course, as we talked about before, is the villain. He looked pretty freaking awesome as the villain there. Going back to the cool villains, hopefully he gets a big role here. And
I only watched part of the trailer, but I heard someone complaining. I guess it was confirmed that you're actually going to play a character in this game, or you're playing that little kid, or when he's grown up, I assume. That you're not playing.
No, the protagonist can either be a man or a woman.
Oh, forget it then. I guess that was a rumor, and I was just thinking
I think maybe you start as the kid, and eventually he grows up as well.
Okay, well, the rumor is it's supposed to be Voss from Far Cry 3.
Right.
I'm just tired of playing those games with, like, custom characters, because it just never goes well.
Oh, isn't that kind of gonna be like Watch Dogs, basically? Because you're playing as every character?
At least in Watch Dogs, you can see your character, and you have, like, a name, or, ideally a name.
Yeah,
like,
true.
I was thinking about Far Cry 5, and your name is, like, the Deputy. You don't even have, like, a character name. Like,
I remember you complaining about that.
Yeah. Well, at least like Mass Effect, they get away with it by calling you Shepard. That's your last name. Your, canon last name. Like.
Alright, so it's gonna be a voice protagonist who will be present in cutscenes and have more agency in the story than most other Far Cry characters.
Yeah.
So it'll be kind of more like Assassin's Creed, I guess.
Well, I think you never saw a character in like the old Far Cry games, but like you had a name and a voice. Like I think Nolan North or Troy Baker voiced your character in Far Cry 3, I think. One of those two guys, or oh no, it wasn't him. It was someone else. But you get you still had a voice.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I like the themes, like the dictator theme, and I mean it seems very interesting, and Giancarlo Esposito is awesome anyway, so I think he'll do great. That's that.
I'm waiting for Far Cry 7 where it's going to be Bryan Cranston as the bad guy.
I wonder if they ever get to the point where they just they don't number these things, because it's crazy that they got the 6. Like I thought after 5 they would just start giving it subtitles or something.
In Far Cry 7 it'll be Sephiroth as the bad guy.
Right, the collaboration between Square and Ubisoft.
Hey, they did it before for Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah, why not? It could happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think overall, this was a solid press conference.
It wasn't too embarrassing, except for the one woman, halfway through talking about her level designs. It's like, no one knows who you are. It was really weird.
You don't have to know everybody that, for the most part, you're not going to know every developer.
No, but developers are a little more front and center than, hey, I made this cat full of boats or whatever. It's like, all right.
I think that might have a little bit to do about what's been happening.
Yeah.
Maybe they wanted to, let's cool things down by, hey, we got woman creative here. Let's let her speak for a little bit. I don't know that came into a thought at all, how far back they really planned all this stuff, but with what's been happening, it seems sort of prominent, possibly.
At least it wasn't as embarrassing as past Ubisoft press conferences have been. Let's give it that.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, is this was very much more straightforward. You got what you expected. I think that's the only thing that kind of hurts, is with them announcing another Ubisoft Forward, it's like, I wonder if you would have had to do this at E3 and then you get your one shot, then you do get a surprise announcement. You do get something that you weren't expecting, that what was that, Tom Clancy's Elite Agent, there they go, showing off Sam Fisher again.
That really thrilled the Twitter sphere.
Yeah, it's like, oh, come on, again with the tease of Sam Fisher in another game that's not Splinter Cell, so there's that. I feel like that's the thing. It's like, okay, this was what was expected. And you got a lot of it, which is cool. If, you're really into those games, and that's great. Sometimes that's okay, too, is you don't have to just throw shit in there to throw shit in there. And that's what made me wonder of, okay, Microsoft now has seen 2 press conferences. Obviously, at this point, I think they kind of have to have most of it wrapped up, what they're going to show. But I wonder if that thing is going to be more like Sony's, or is it going to be more like Ubisoft's, where did we spend 20 minutes on Halo, or are we just trying to just show off different stuff? So
I unfortunately think they're going to show off an hour of Halo.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see.
Yeah.
What ends up showing up there. So staying on the Ubisoft boat here, the Ubisoft pirate boat game Skull and Bones apparently has gone through another reboot. It's been delayed multiple times, and now apparently it's been completely revamped into more of a live storytelling model, using things from Fortnite. It feels like they're also sort of using some things from Sea of Thieves here.
Yeah.
Not necessarily like this. It was supposed to be like a single player kind of thing before, where you could have PvP battles. Now it's more of a like collaborative thing. Seems like with like a persistent world and all that stuff. So this definitely feels like it's going to fall into the Six Siege, For Honor, like, that kind of thing, where
never ending game where they just keep releasing crap for it.
Exactly. It's just going to be another one of those things where they can keep building a world, and that game will have its fans, but you won't really hear that much talk about it, and that's it. I mean, that's fine too. Like, I think they have so many games now with naval stuff that it's almost like overkill if you were going to have now a single player game that's naval focused.
See, that's I guess that's where I differ. I would rather have a single player game because I don't, having some multiplayer big environment or big open world game I don't care about. Like,
well, but that's what I meant though, was like, I mean, I get it. Like, I'm with you on that about I'd rather have the single player, but what I'm saying is I think it's more of like, if it was something that you didn't have in every Assassin's Creed game now, I think it'd be more special for it to have stayed as a single player game. You just have that come out as a single player game at this point. It's like, we already do this in a bigger game that has a name that I know. Why do I need to play this game too?
I think when they kind of announced Skull and Bones, that the naval stuff in Assassin's Creed have been really like scaled down.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been de-emphasized quite a bit. So that's probably why they're like, hey, for people who like that crap, here's this entirely separate game where you have to like swing around and assassinate guys. You can just screw on the ship, but if they're going to have that in Valhalla, then I was like, why are we making this in the first place now? Like, I mean, aside from just being multiplayer.
Yeah.
There are already a bunch. Oh, go on.
No, I mean, it's good that, like, they have these planning things where they go through and change something and don't just decide to lock it in and oh, well, this is what it was, so it's coming out, even though it's dated at this point. I mean, I guess good on Ubisoft for seeing that they can change it in a different way and having it come out.
Let me ask you this. Do you think it actually ever comes out?
Yeah. I mean, look what they just did with that hyperspace game. Nobody really knew about it, and then bam, it's out.
See, the difference with that is that's just a surprise launch. Like, Ubisoft has a much more of a track record of announcing crap that never hits light of day.
Yeah. You got two big games that we just talked about that are in that boat right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it does.
Okay. I mean,
it may be like 2 or 3 years from now, but I think it does.
I don't have any interest in it, but sure, I hope, feel free. But I like them as a company, but I just don't have a lot of faith in them to complete their more off projects.
Yeah. That's true. But I mean, I feel like Wild and Beyond Good and Evil 2 are not just off projects, and they're still there, kind of simmering, and we don't really hear a lot about them.
Right.
Or I mean, at least they made it feel like Wild was this huge project, and Beyond Good and Evil 2 people wanted forever, and then.
Yeah, well, Wild was 2018 or 2017. I mean, that's telling that. Yeah, that trailer was 4 years ago. That was 2015.
Phew. My God. Really?
It's like, yeah.
Wow.
And say what you want about, like, Beyond Good and Evil, like, yeah, like the, people wanted that for a while, but they didn't, like, even show, like, a trailer until, like, 2018.
Yeah.
So I give them a little more leeway with that one, but still, like, they still have not shown gameplay of really either game, or,
Exactly. Especially Beyond Good and Evil was like, oh, they promised a bunch of gameplay, and then it's like, oh, here's another nice looking trailer. Cool.
There's Joseph Gordon-Levitt wanting voice actors for free. It's like, what? Yeah. Like, huh?
What? Okay, man. And, well, to top it off with Ubisoft, they also, of course, if you didn't know, they had been having an internal problem with HR and a lot of other big executives being put into allegations of misconduct and other things, abuse, harassment. And so now the Chief Creative Officer, Sergey Haskowit, Global Head of HR, Cecile Cornett, and Yanis Malat, Managing Director of Ubisoft's Canadian Studios, are out. I think then there was a tweet from HR announcing that they would leave. The other HRs that were left would leave if Eve didn't walk back a statement that he made blaming HR for some of the issues. It's not great as far as internally right now at Ubisoft. So they like got out of the hurdle of almost getting bought out at one point, and then now they have this. It's not good. And then like to have Maxime Balland also leave, and then it's like the thing you don't think about is that Canadian Ubisoft studio made some of their they made the Prince of Persia or produced the Prince of Persia series, which obviously it's kind of defunct at this point, but they still had a lot to do with Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, Watch Dogs, For Honor, Rainbow Six, all franchises that Ubisoft's kind of counting on now. And yeah, interesting how that goes on.
Yep.
Just once again, just stating that hopefully these big companies having to kind of answer questions at this point and being in the light a little bit for bad things makes them have to rethink that the way they run their company going forward. I hope.
Yeah, I can hope.
Oh, and then also UFC 4 was announced, which is weird why you wouldn't have announced it at the EA Play.
I didn't put it in the document, but it has the worst cover art ever.
I gotta look at it, I guess, now.
Yeah, but it is almost like, looks like, okay, yeah, I'll copy it over. It looks like it's from, like, Reddit. Or it looks like the most, like, someone just mocked this up, or someone was wrong. But, no, it's real, and it's like, one fighter is like looking down at you, and the other one's like kind of giving like a cupping motion. But it looks like, I don't know who the guys are. I'm not a UFC guy, but it looks like the most like embarrassing photo you could ever imagine for a cover.
Yeah. Ugh. Well, I mean, this was announced as part of the UFC 251, and I guess it brings them a lot of press to have it announced in Abu Dhabi instead of at a EA Play that not a lot of people are going to watch that are in that UFC fandom. Dana White, of course, the ultimate hype man, I'd say this is the best fighting game ever made. Yeah, I doubt that that's going to be,
Well, hey man, it's not going to have Joe Rogan, so how can it be a good game?
Hey, I mean, at least you can fight with as Bruce Lee and Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury in there, along with UFC guys, so whatever. And Daniel Cormier and UFC's John Anik are the commentators because Joe Rogan hates doing voiceover, so they couldn't use the actual announcer.
Well, two things. One, didn't they have Bruce Lee in like one of these other games, like as a pre-order bonus or something?
Yes, they did, yeah.
Okay. Two, it's funny that like Rogan hates doing it because like he does a podcast for fucking 3 hours out of the day.
Yeah, but he kind of gets to just say whatever the hell he wants. That's what he doesn't like is you're rehearsing a bunch of lines.
Well, the other thing is he likes video games. Like you'd think he'd jump at the chance to be like, hey, I can be in a game? Like, sure.
Yeah. But I imagine like that's not fun. Like it's grueling and...
I mean, yeah, but he's not, he has to like, I know he says he doesn't like to act, but it's like, it's not like you have to show up at a stage. I mean, he can do it, if I do it in the studio, just have an EA guy there going, hey, read these lines. Hey, read these lines better. You know, that's about it. Like, I don't think it wouldn't take him like a month to do it. At least it shouldn't. I don't know what his reading level is. I mean, but.
Well, I mean, I don't think it has to do with that. It's just, I think he just doesn't want to deal with that crap because we don't know how many times they have to redo things and re-say the same line over and over until it sounds exactly the way they want it. And then, I think he also doesn't, I think he also wouldn't want to, maybe he doesn't also want to play the game. He wouldn't want to play the game if he's hearing himself say the same line 30 times. So,
I doubt it.
I don't know. Maybe that's
Probably the price was too low for them, or they don't want to pay them. That'd probably be
Well, yeah, that could be it too.
my theory, yeah.
And then of course, Devolver Digital had their thing, their little expo, because they always have a thing around E3 time, and Devolver has made a name for themselves of promoting some fun indie games. They usually at least have one big hit a year, if not more, that people wind up talking about. Shadow Warrior 3, which I'm kind of totally down for. It's coming out 2021. My
you
kind of stuff. Yeah, I liked the second one, so
okay.
I'm down for this. I mean, plus Devolver always does like stuff with like shooting and blood pretty well. Fall Guys has nobody has a name, but they made like an MMO out of it. And yeah, so now you have like an MMO like party game that lets 60 people be in obstacle courses, which, hey, I'm sure that will find its niche online. So yeah, and it looks cute, so why not?
Yeah.
Carrion looks kind of interesting. I'll have to see how that winds up. That Ouija game, they've shown it off before.
Right.
And so they've shown a lot of the Serious Sam 4.
Yeah,
that got shown off.
I've never liked those games.
They're like in that like old, Doom style, and they have their purpose. People like them. I don't know. It's fine. It's not anything to go crazy about.
Right.
I think. The Devolver Land Expo thing was hilarious. That's what I want out of my Devolvers. Let's just make this random weird thing.
Right.
So, yeah, it was fine. It's not like, this is what's always funny when we cover it. It's like, yeah, there was like 2 minutes that we spent talking about it along with the other. It usually comes the same day as the new Bethesda, and we talk about it for a little bit, and then it goes back into the ether of nothingness. But yeah, it's there to give you a laugh, and it did that again. So, yeah, I think, overall, well, we'll see. Now it's, I think, all eyes on Microsoft, see what they do.
They announced a $300 price tag.
If they do that, talk about shocking everyone. Yeah, I'm surprised that they're actually, I guess they had to have a reason to have an August direct. I'm surprised that they're waiting till August to do the Series S. I wonder if that means they're making any changes, or they're just waiting that long. It's like, that's the thing, is you run the longer you wait, the more risk you have of stuff leaking. So
how amazing would it be if Microsoft pulled a Sega and just said for their August conference, it's out on stores now. Go buy it.
God, I can't imagine anybody thought of that and said, oh yeah, in the middle of a pandemic, let's just do that.
It'd be beautiful. Yep, we have 4 million consoles on Amazon. Go for it.
Yeah, maybe digitally, but then the stores would be really pissed.
Yeah, but they don't matter anymore.
Walmart would be like, "Yeah, we're not selling your shit." They still matter. I think they still matter, at least for this generation. Maybe once we get to the yeah.
Let me ask you. Well, you never heard of a store called Meijer, have you?
Well, you've talked about it.
Okay, yeah, they are getting rid of their games, their game sections.
That was the first thing to go at Kmart, and that's when things started to turn.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't the first thing technically, but yeah, it was the thing that, like, that's when I was like, well, wow, okay, our electronics section just took a huge hit now.
Like, they still have games, kind of, but they used to have, like, these big glass cases, like, one is PS4, or, like, one is Sony, one is Microsoft, one is Nintendo. They got rid of the big glass cases. Now they're, like, very small. It's only, like, one aisle, too. Mm-hmm. And I'm going down it, and, like, the cases are all empty, or they have, like, 15 games, and I'm like, what the hell happened here? Like, and, like, they have a lot of their games also, like, discounted, or, like, on sale, I think, just to get rid of them. And, I mean, they're also kind of getting rid of DVDs and Blu-rays. Like, I've seen at least one or two that, like, just have, like, no section at all, and I'm like, okay. Like, and they replaced it with, like, more packing supplies. It's like, is this really a big moneymaker, like buying
right
tape
now,
and,
maybe.
yeah, but yeah, I just noticed it, and I'm like, man, this is depressing. I mean, I don't know about like down there, but even like Walmarts and stuff like that up here aren't like doing like they don't have a ton of games.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I noticed too, is like the physical. I mean, I think they're also kind of waiting, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think everybody's kind of in the wait and see. Will those new consoles actually come out now or come out in November where they, saying they're going to?
Right.
October, and, we'll see. Well,
yeah.
I mean, that's the thing, right? It's like most of that stuff's being made in overseas, so I guess as long as they get the parts, it doesn't really matter what happens here, per se. Unless we just have like a mass, it gets so bad that we're having to really, 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 really close everything, and you have way too many people without jobs, and then they have to start weighing, okay, well, how many people can actually afford to buy this thing right now?
Yeah.
I mean, but again, I guess if Sony's coming out and saying there's going to be a limited supply, those hardcore people will always figure out how to make the money or get the money to buy it on launch day, and then they'll figure out how to release it once they start making more quantities. But,
yeah. I mean, I'm going to try my damnedest to get it. I don't know about you, but.
I mean, like, Horizon's great and all. I don't know. I just feel like I'm at the point right now where when those games when the two sets were coming out last go around, I was in a much different point in my life, my car was a lot younger. My daughter was a lot younger. I had less, like, real stuff to worry about. Now it's like, I have to think about, what am I thinking about, moving and having to pay, like, real rent and all that kind of stuff. It's like deciding to spend $500, $600, well, even $400 on something like that. That's a big chunk, So yeah, but we'll see. Plus, Sony's the one that's gonna like make me. Because Microsoft, if everything's coming out on Xbox One for a while, I'm not really going nuts about going to get that. But yeah, Sony's going to be the one if something comes out that, like, damn, we'll see. I feel like Remake Part 2 is going to come out on PS4. So.
Which one?
I think, 7 Remake Part 2, if it comes out. Yeah.
That'll be, I don't know if that'll be PS4.
Well, it depends on when it comes out, right? I think.
Yeah.
If we're talking about 2022, then no.
Yeah.
But,
hook up your PS4, find it from under the dust,
yeah,
the box that's kept it in for the past 3 years, and hook it back up.
I feel like maybe if they can get it out next year, then maybe they do something where it's on both.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
It'd be nice if they said, they just ported. I mean, they can tell trophy data or kind of like that game. If they just said, "Hey, you completed the game, or you at least have a trophy on the PS4 version, pay $10 and you can get the part 1 for PS5 digitally."
Yeah, they could. Yeah. Oh, I definitely think they're going to do that. Yeah.
And then they'll release the super duper version on when it all comes out for the PS6 in 10 years.
Jesus Christ, I hope not. I hope we're really not talking about that game when the PlayStation 6 is even thought of at that point.
Yeah, it'll be that and Beyond Good and Evil 2 still.
What do you think about that patent? I mean, I think we got to preface this by saying that patents don't always a lot of times patents don't come true, or we don't see the fruit of that patent for a long time. What do you think about this hope once again of the whole Sony backwards compatibility, PS1, PS2, PS3 thing?
I mean, honestly, that is kind of my deciding factor. Like, I'm going to get a PS5 regardless, and it'll probably be the disc one. But if it has backward compatibility, I'll be ordering anything like the day they put it up for sale. I'll be getting that thing, or pre-ordering.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, I kind of need a PS5 right now anyway, just because my PS4 is slowly dying.
Yeah, and the Last of Us Part 2 is not helping. But
I'm even playing Code Vein at the end, and he's like, "What's that noise?" And I'm like, "That's my PS4 trying to launch off."
Yeah, I feel like that will be I wonder if that's where they really try to beef up PS Now as well. If they can do that, is add that into PS Now to make the digital version, digital PS5, worth a lot more. I don't think, I really don't think that it's gonna be, the way Microsoft does it. I don't think it's gonna be that way where you're gonna put the disc in and it's gonna work. I think it's gonna be all digital and,
that'd be, I mean, yeah, but I think that'd be unfortunate, at least for me.
I don't know. I feel like Sony is, I mean, the PS4 one obviously makes sense. You know, it's the early, you know, the most recent console. Why you would want your discs? People bought those. They don't want those to be, you know, obsolete or anything. But like, I don't know. I feel like, especially with the PS3 having that crazy architecture, it's so different.
I think PS3 is more of a mixed call. Yeah. But I could see, like, the problem with, like, PS1 and PS2, I mean, I imagine the PS5 could emulate that real well. But, like, you have to download the game from, like, some server somewhere. What do they do with, like, the rights issues?
Well, yeah. That's something.
I have games like PS1 and PS2 that, like, you know, Tomba for PS1, like, I think Sony published it, but, like, would they allow that?
Well, really? They have to do what Microsoft does, right? Where they have to announce, okay, these games are available now. Yeah. And if you have the disc, then it works automatically. But yeah, I mean, they still have to pay for these licenses because they weren't made to be on that system. So
yeah, it was funny. I was talking to my neighbor a few days ago, and she brought up, she was looking at my SNES collection, and she's like, "Oh, I've had a real weird desire to play Banjo-Kazooie," and I know she has an Xbox One. I was like, "So go do it." Yeah. She's like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "Go." I mean, it's on there. Like, go buy it. Like, go play it. Like, I think it's like $10 or $15. But and she was like, "It is?" I'm like, "Yeah." Like, go ahead.
Right. I mean, that's the cool thing is, I mean, we'll see. I feel like right now it's a patent. We could be watching it, but again, Sony has some time still to deliver like a big blow to Microsoft, I guess, in August when they're having that other thing. If they can announce something like that, it'd be crazy.
If they just said, I mean, if it was like a 5-minute live stream where they just said every previous home console, at least, game is compatible with this thing, that would be like pretty much game over already.
Well, I mean, I think the way that they announced the PS4 one makes me think that they're not, this wouldn't be something where all of a sudden every game is workable and all that. It'd be the same thing like Microsoft's where, okay, well, we'll start working on licenses. Like I said, the thing that worries me about Sony is that they have a very quick trigger finger when it comes to, okay, this stuff is not making money, we're stopping it.
Yeah.
And unless PS Now becomes, I mean, look, PS Now apparently has, you know, it has a good I mean, it makes them money, it has a good following, that's why they beefed it up and changed it, where you can, you know, download PS4 games and download other things, but, yeah, if they beefed it up and use that as a catalyst, then I think I have more faith in them really making sure that it keeps going. But yeah, I do worry about that. If everybody getting their hopes up of, oh, well, this game will finally be on there and all that, and I'll finally get to play this and it'll look awesome. And with new graphics, you know, updated graphics on the PS5, and then all of a sudden, oh, well, we don't even get a fourth of the library of anything before they decide, oh, well, it's not making it, we're spending way more money than we're making for this, it's over, you know?
Right.
And the fact that they're only guaranteeing, like, the top 100 right now, I mean, yes, they're saying there's going to be more later. I think that's just them giving everybody's hopes, because guess what happens? Once you start getting the PS5 and start playing PS5 games, do you really go back and play those old games? Not necessarily.
I mean, I do, but I mean, I'm weird. I mean, most people don't. Or
they wait for the remaster or the remake. Or
how many consoles do you have hooked up at your house? Like actually play it?
5.
Yeah, like how many? I assume PS4 and Xbox One and Switch.
Yeah, and then the PS3 and 360 are hooked up in the room, even though I haven't turned them on in like months.
Yeah, I have like, I would say at least 10 consoles. You know, I have like PS4, Switch, Xbox One, PS3, an original Xbox.
Yeah, you have those div kit things.
Well, not that. I mean, that's in a box underneath a chair. I mean, I have like a modded Xbox. A PS2, 2 Super Nintendos, and, you know,
right.
a bunch, like a few other like weird shit. So it's like, yeah, I'm not I'm perhaps not the best person to judge this, I guess.
Yeah, I think again, it's like one of those, it's a comfort thing, more so, of like, oh, I can play any game I want, and my library is still there, and I can use it, and I don't have to keep my whatever old console connected. And I get that's everybody's dream, but we also have to be sort of realistic about that.
Right.
But yeah, so I think that's gonna kind of do it for us here. We'll definitely have it's my like I said, if my schedule is kind of normal where I'm not having to work till 1, that's the reason why we didn't do a show on the weekend, was because I had to take overtime, because I have a really weird feeling of like maybe we're only going to be getting overtime on the weekends now, at least the way things have been going, but we'll see. So it may just be we're only going to do one show a week from now on, but I don't know. We'll see how that goes. But alright, if you enjoyed the show, of course you can always hit that subscribe button wherever it is that you listen. You can also, like our Facebook page. You can go review us on Podchaser or any of the other places that you listen. That always helps us go up in the echelon of video game podcasts. And you can follow us on Twitter at WTMSean at Humanity Plague. And until next time, see you later, everybody.